Before you begin the Unit 1 Task 16 notes for Section 2, please make sure you have taken the Illuminate quiz for Unit 1 Task 16, Section 1. If you cannot find the quiz, go back to Google Classroom, Unit 1 Task 16, and look in the directions document to find the link. If you have taken the Illuminate quiz, let's begin the notes. In this section, we will look at modeling multiplication on the number line. How can we model multiplication using groups? You may have seen multiplication represented very different ways in elementary school, talking about grouping, talking about repeated addition. It turns out that all of these ideas come together to model multiplication on a number line. Multiplication can be thought of as repeated addition. So for example, if I have the same number added over and over again, 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, that's 3 added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So a faster, more efficient way to write that is 5 times 3. But what does that really mean? When you're grouping numbers together like that, you actually think of it as groups of threes. So each of those threes represents one group of 3. So here you can see it modeled this way, where each number 3 is considered a group, and if we count up the number of groups, it's 5 groups of 3. So that's how we're going to think about multiplication in order to do modeling on the number line. Let's look at a couple more just to make sure we understand the idea. 6 times 9 would be thought of as 6 groups of 9, and 14 times 5 would be thought of as 14 groups of 5. You always read from left to right. So the first number will tell you the number of groups, and the second number will tell you how much is in each group. For example, up here, each group contained 3, and there were 5 of them. In this case, if I were to draw it out, there would be 14 groups, and each group would contain 5. So here's example number 1. First of all, let's just get this out of the way. We know that 5 times 3 is 15, but how do we model it on a number line? We know it's repeated addition, right? That 5 times 3 is 3 times plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, which is another way of saying that we have 5 groups of 3. In other words, in each group there are 3. This is important for how we set up our number line. Rather than going by ones, we're going to need to skip. The amount that is contained in each group is the perfect number to skip by. So if you have 5 groups of 3, you're going to count by 3s on the number line because you're repeatedly doing groups of 3. So set up your number line like this, where you're going to skip by 3s. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. And in the negative direction, negative 3, negative 6, negative 9, and so on. Now again, let's think about what it means to have 5 groups of 3 and how we can tie that to what we already understand about the number line. Remember, each group has 3 in it. So each of those groups is like a space on the number line, the way we set it up. When you are modeling multiplication on the number line, you always start at 0. Then you're going to move the number of groups that you have here either to the right or to the left. In this case, both of our numbers are positive, so we're going to move to the right in the positive direction. And we're going to take and move 5 groups of 3. So remember, each group is 3, right? So 1, 2, 3, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. And by the way, if this looks familiar, if it looks a lot like what we learned about adding integers, remember that multiplication is repeated addition. So in some ways, as I'm teaching it, it is going to sound familiar. We'll pull away from addition once we understand the idea. But here you can see I counted 5 times 3, so 5 groups of 3. And since I set my number line up by 3s, right, the number that's in each group, it's very easy to go 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So we end at the number we knew it would end at, 15. Let's look at another example. Model 6 times 7 on the number line. Again, let's get this out of the way. We know the answer will be 42. So let's think about why multiplication works. It's repeated multiplication. In this case, it's the number 7 added 6 times, right? 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7. A more efficient way of saying that would be to say that I have 6 groups of 7. Now remember, I have 7 in each of my 6 groups. All right, here they are. Here's my 6 groups, and in each group is 7. So that will be the number I use to set up my number line. I'm going to count by 7s in order to model this correctly. So on your number line, set it up to the right and to the left by 7s, right? 7, 14, 21, 28, and so on. And then the negative direction, negative 7, negative 14, and so on. Remember, for multiplication, we always start at 0. And then in this case, still, both numbers are positive. So we are going to start here at 0 and count 6 groups of 7. And it'll look like this. All right, if I move 6 groups of 7 to the right, we go 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, and we end up where we knew we would at 42. At this point, please make sure that you have all the notes written down, all the blanks filled in. If you need to reverse the video and write anything down that you missed, do that now. And then go to the directions document on Google Classroom for task 16 and click on the link for the second check for understanding. When you're done with the check for understanding, please remember to write your score here in the box on your notes. When you're done with that, then you can go on to section 3.